Hello everyone, we're having to go ultra wide angle in here because we're running out of space. The lovely beautiful burr oak resin slab desktop finished, ready to go. Week 3 big build coffee table, and this video is going to be about this thing, my freestanding week 4 big build bookcase. Right folks, hello again, welcome back to my channel, and time for a little reflection on episode 4 of Handmade, Britain's Best Woodworker. And in the same week that John Lennon's voice was brought back to life by the powers of AI to release the final Beatles song, Now and Then. What a week it's been. Anyway, I digress. Okay, in my last video, which was episode 3, the coffee tables big build, I had the opportunity to talk you through my design and build, and also to kind of have a little reflection on the other contributors' builds as well. Now this week is going to be a little bit different because I'm going to focus mainly on my own big build, not just because of the sheer size and scale of the thing. I just want to go into a little bit more detail about my design ideas and a lot more detail about the build process itself. Okay, so episode 4, the brief was to create a freestanding bookcase with the theme of nature and the natural form. Now immediately when I was presented with this, my first instinct was to use the beauty of wood in its natural form and to use live edge slabs, and in this case oak live edge slabs, of which I was presented with 7 stunning oak slabs to work with. Now the idea was to have a live edge slab going up the side with 6 shelves feeding into it, and then scorched ash dowels on this side to create an open side, if you like. And that was, you know, that was my general kind of initial idea, and I sketched out a bit of a drawing which I'll show you now, and then had to come up with some dimensions. Now I said on my Instagram and social medias this week is you don't really get a true sense of scale when you see the finished products in the workshop on set, because I think because the set's so big. But to give you an idea, I mean, I'm 5'10". The ceiling in the workshop towards the back 7 foot high. So here it's about 6'6", I think 2.1 meters at its highest point, and 1.7 meter shelves. So it is a huge, substantial bookcase in itself. Now, I was acutely aware that the planing and thicknessing of 7 rather substantial live edge slabs was going to take quite a period of time, and the other part of the build that really ate into the time was the joining of the shelves to the live edge side. Now, I'm just going to talk you through that bit because, as I say, in the episode it didn't really touch upon that. Now, I was shown how to use a mortise cutter or a mortise machine which they had in the workshop on the set there, which I've never used before, and I thought this could work really well. And that was to cut 2 holes in for each shelf on the side slab, and then to cut kind of like a castle shape, if you like. So this kind of, I created a jig so I could cut with the jigsaw into the shelves, and then use a flush trim router bit to go around the edges to then slot those 2 parts through the side into the back with a hole drilled in, and then a bit of oak dowel like this here, with sanded a little bit on one side. And my understanding is, and you're going to tell me if I'm right or wrong in the comments hopefully, is it's called a tusk tenon? I think that's right. Okay, I think it's called a tusk tenon. So that was the design concept for that side of the build, and I wanted this side of the shelves to be opened up, and the idea of doing that was to use scorched ash dowels. So if you were looking down the shelf this way, you'd be able to see right across. So in theory, you know, it was a really, you know, solid design concept, and I don't really like to talk about these in some ways about my own builds, but I was absolutely delighted with how it turned out. You know, I think actually expanding my use of joinery techniques within a build, I think they turned out really well. The focus within the program, from what I can remember, was my use of resin. Okay, and I brought the resin with me because when you're working with live edge, and you will only be seeing it for the first time. You don't know what you're going to be walking into, and I kind of like that, you know, like, you know, because every build when you're using kind of live edge stuff, you know, I showed you right at the beginning, which I've got a desktop going to a client there, you know, and the beauty of using, you know, live edge materials is every piece is always going to be unique, and this one certainly is. So I wanted to have the resin with me just in case it was going to be needed. And with the splits, and as I said to Tom and Sophie, you know, some people, when they see imperfections, they run away, you know, as quickly as possible. But when I see imperfections in the wood, that's where I see character. And I think, you know, with the likes of resin, that can complement those, you know, the character within that wood, and it can also make it useless because useful, because if it's got a large split down it, then if you can fill that void with resin, then it makes it a purposeful and useful piece of wood. And I wanted to use metallic elements in it, so it was gold and silver on this build, you know, to reflect the kind of natural materials, again going back to that kind of natural form, natural metals in that way. So during the course of the build, obviously there was a lot of time in the machine room, you know, getting these, you know, getting them flat on one side first with using the planer, and then running it through the thickness. It was right at the maximum capacity of what the it was Felder hammer 3-in-1 machines, I think it was, we were using, and I wanted to square off the back. The reason for that being, although it's a freestanding bookshelf, I certainly wouldn't want to have this between a lounge dining area sort of thing, because something of this size, you know, you wouldn't want that not secured against something. So I wanted it squared up against the back, because if you put it against the wall, then obviously you'd only need some brackets then to get it secure against the wall, so it wouldn't be in any danger, you know, of tipping and tilting and tipping and falling on someone. You know, you wouldn't want that to happen. So it's squared off at the back, and it's squared off on this side, live edge on the front, and then obviously you've got that live edge side as well. So over the course of the 2 days, you know, I think predominantly the first day was just actually getting the wood milled correctly, planed, thicknessed, squared off, and then that gave me the opportunity to, on day 2, to work on the joinery. Aspects of it that didn't get time to get completed, I got it sanded, but I didn't get a finish on it. You know, if I would have started on a finish, I might have got 1 shelf, possibly 2 shelves done, and then that would have looked a little bit silly, I think, you know, because it, you know, you wanted it. So I decided to leave the finish on this one, which was sad in that respect, because it didn't give chance to pop out that beautiful natural grain. But again, if I just would have been rushing at the very end, and I was working right up to Mel calling time on it again, it just wouldn't have looked right if it would have rushed a finish. In relation to this side, which is the scorched ash dowels. Now, I've never really done that technique before. I think that's why I was so enthusiastic when I got the chance to get the torch and burn on. But what it did, and this is what I wanted, was to bring out that beautiful grain on. And these ash dowels are big, chunky things, you know, they're stunning. But, you know, the ash can look quite plain unless you actually kind of bring that grain to life. Now, you can either do that with a finish, or you could do that with a stain, but I wanted to, again, you know, show another technique again, and that's by doing scorching. Now, on this side, what I did was we took a Forstner bit and drilled in only a couple of millimeters on the top of the shelf and on the underside of the shelf as well. So what that allowed was for the actual ash dowels to kind of click into place, if you like. Now, in order to reinforce that again, I will probably use a smaller dowel, or even possibly screws actually, to give that ultra rigidity, you know, if that makes sense. So if you had that and had the live edge slabs bracketed, you know, every other shelf, I think, against the wall, that would give it that kind of structural. I mean, it's solid, you know, but you know, you wouldn't want a very, very heavy freestanding bookcase at risk of collapse, you know. So that's what I'd, because that's what I'm going to do with this. I think my plan is I really don't want to break it down. You know, I could make several rather stunning chopping boards or something from this, but I really like it. You know, I put it together in the workshop this week, you know, and I, you know, hadn't seen this since last summer, and to have that, I had that little put it together, step back moment to look at it and go, wow, you know, they really managed to accomplish that. And what I think I might do is I might make it regular size house user friendly. So I think I'll cut it down a little bit here, and I may possibly take a shelf off the top, you know, because we haven't got a massive house, we've just got a normal sized house, and then I think that would work well possibly in the back room. So we got like a front room, like a lounge, and then the back room, which is kind of like Pam's office stroke music room type thing. So I think it's probably going to go in there, and it'll look really nice. You know, can't wait to get it sanded correctly, finished properly, and I'm going to probably go with my own finish actually. I'm going to go with my own wood conditioning wax on this. Yes, so it was a very frantic 2 days build. I gave myself a lot to do. And as much as I've had a lot, again, I don't really like talking about this like this, but I've had some fantastic feedback from folk about my designs and my builds, you know, so my garden bench, the lamps, the coffee table, and hopefully this, you know, I certainly have from the likes of my social media, Instagram, Facebook and stuff, had some fantastic feedback about the design. The way I look at it is this: I don't really have a design style, so I'm not inspired by, you know, mid-century modern, that, you know, or a certain specific design style. But what I try to do in any design or any piece of furniture I make, I'd like it to have what I call a timeless quality. So when you create and build something, either for yourself or for a customer or for a client, that piece of furniture will still look just as nice in 25, 30 years' time, and still will have pride and place in the home than the day you made it. All right, I try to avoid fashionable trends and stuff because I don't really follow that kind of stuff, you know. So I do think really, you know, once it's properly completed to the standard I'm really happy with, I do think it has that kind of timeless quality to it, because I do think this will look fantastic in 50 years' time. You know, probably won't be here then, but you know, pass it down to a member of the family. But I genuinely do believe that about this, and my other builds as well. I do think, you know, you could make that at any time and people will be happy with it, and they'd be happy with it, you know, for the long term, shall we say. In relation to my actual theme of the design, I think the judges were maybe a little bit divided on that. I think from watching it, you know, as a viewer and as a fan, I think Sophie kind of liked the idea. I don't think Tom was majorly convinced about it, but you know, that's what the judges do, and you know, they're not going to like everything. So yeah, I don't think he was convinced about my theme. I think he kind of liked the bookcase, if you like, but I don't think he kind of liked my justification for the theme behind it. You know, which is fine, which is fair dues. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Immunity. Yeah, I gained immunity this week. So here is my candelabra. So, yeah, so it was, I really liked the task. You know, you know, I've said in the previous videos that, you know, I was always going to find the skills challenges difficult, but it wasn't not to say I wasn't going to, you know, try 100%. And when I walked up and we saw all the offcuts from the previous project, I was like, oh, I love doing that kind of stuff. You know, I love working with, you know, offcuts, and you know, to create something different. So when they said this, I thought, oh, I've got to try and get my coffee table offcuts and see what idea I can come up with. And it's not great, it's okay. You know, it's just a pyramid idea of that stacked, because when they said candelabra, I was like trying to think what that was at first. But, you know, I sometimes think of those candles that you see suspended like a chandelier sort of thing. And I always remember like the candles being kind of stacked at different heights. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. So I kind of came up with that pyramid idea just with the offcuts of this. And originally, I think it just showed a very brief part of it. I was going to use tea lights, but the Forstner bit for the tea lights, for the size, was too big. It wouldn't have fitted in. I tried it. I thought, oh, this isn't going to work. So I just switched up to candles, and it was a lot easier to do because the hole was a lot smaller. So I got that done in the build time. I was as shocked as anyone when I was awarded immunity, but that was great. You know, I was chuffed to bits that I won that immunity thing. It didn't affect my big build in any way, because when I came back, as people would think, oh, the pressure's off and stuff now. If anything, I put more pressure on myself, because I really wanted to get this finished to the standard that I had in my, to the design that I had in my head. Because I actually, I thought, would I possibly be in with a shout of getting Woodworker of the Week as well? So to actually maybe win immunity and win Woodworker of the Week. So I was kind of given that energy to crack on with the build and make it as good as I possibly could, and in this, again, in the circumstances, in the time frame, I was delighted with this, and I'm delighted that I've got it in my workshop. It will be getting dismantled because I've got quite a few other things on the go at the moment, but when I have the opportunity to return to this, I'm hoping to do a couple of videos, features on it, from this to actually making it into the house itself. So yeah, so immunity and an epic big build, so delighted with that. Just in regards to the rest of the episode, absolutely gutted again. We know the nature of the show. And, congratulations. Wolfgang is his design ideas. The angles and stuff. And the way he executed it again, brilliant. Absolutely gutted to see Nate go. From a contributor's perspective, the previous episode, David went, and then Nate to go in the next one. Two of the biggest characters within the group, and who were fantastic at keeping everybody upbeat, very funny, really lovely people to get to know. And to lose David and then to lose Nate, the next one, was like, wow, it was kind of shocking for us all, really, and I was absolutely gutted. I was devastated to see him leave, and it's hard. It certainly, as the episode, we've gone from episode 1 to episode 4. It gets more difficult. Because you do. I've said this in previous videos. You spend a lot of time in each other's company, and the more time you're in the show, the more time you spend with people, the more you get to know them, and the harder it is to see when you lose them as well. So that was a tough one, and it's lovely that I've had the opportunity to keep in touch with Nate, keep him updated with what's going on up here and what he's up to down southeast way where he lives, and lovely guy. God, can tell I've been waffling on again because my gimbal battery's just died again now. Anyway, sorry, just to finish up, yeah, lovely guy. I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to meet him, to get to know Nate, and to stay in touch with him as well, and all because of this fantastic show that we've been involved in. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that one, folks, so I hope you've enjoyed it. Any questions, obviously, get in touch via the comments, the social medias, all the contact details are in the description there. And, I never say this as well, if you've had the chance, if you've enjoyed any of this kind of content, please give it a thumbs up, give it a like, and maybe consider subscribing to the channel as well. Okay, as ever, everyone, take care, look after yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.